Hello there, welcome back to my views and news. Morning update for you from the Amhara region of Ethiopia. What happened in the last 12 hours? I'll try my best to keep you fully updated with the security situation in the region where now we're seeing clashes in multiple locations. No signs of any peaceful intervention to resolve the conflict in the region. Firstly, fighting is on for a strategic town between Fano fighters and Ethiopian National Defense Force. Reportedly, Prosperity Party leaders have fled this town. Town is very strategic when it comes to its connection with Ago Avi zone and with Valaga or Romia. Fano fighters have been trying to be in charge in this town. Details for you. Secondly, a camp of Ethiopian National Defense Force came under attack last night. Fano fighters surrounded the camp. Fighting went on for several hours reportedly. And thirdly, Colonel Mohabau Fantahun, a top Fano commander, spoke yesterday. A long video, 20-minute long video showing Colonel Fantahun speaking about Fano's operations, Fano's objectives. He mentioned Addis Ababa, Ethiopian capital. Is Fano's goal Addis Ababa, or does it want change in the Amhara region? People say, Sajid, what are Fano's objectives? What is Fano's plan? What does it want? Firstly, intense clashes went on last night between Fano fighters and Ethiopian National Defense Force for the control of a town which is in Gojam, West Gojam. Administrative officers have fled the town. Name of the town is Bore. Bore is one of the most strategic towns in Gojam. To the north of Bore is Ago Avi zone. And we know that Agos of the Ago Avi zone have been complaining that Fano fighters have been trying to enter Ago Avi zone and annex Ago Avi zone's lands. Their farmers have been complaining too. They have been opposing Fano's expansion into Ago Avi zone, and more than one cabales of Ago Avi zone were under Fano control a few weeks ago. I did some videos on that. And we know that Ethiopian National Defense Force has been organizing and raising some militias in Ago Avi zone, because in Ago Avi zone, obviously Fano has less support. Agos live there. ENDF has its presence there too. So from Ago Avi zone, ENDF obviously can launch offensives towards Gojam, and it can get reinforcements too, because Ago Avi zone shares border with Sudan. So Ago Avi zone is crucial. Not Sudan. Ago Avi zone shares border with Benishangal Gumuz, and then BG shares border with Sudan. So it means that Ago Avi zone could be a link between Sudan and Ethiopian National Defense Force, a link between ENDF's supply lines. Bore town is strategic in terms of its connection with Valaga. To the south of Bore is a main road which connects Bore with Oromia. And then to the east and southeast, there are several key towns, cities where we have seen fighting in the last 2 to 3 weeks. Finote Silam, Dambicha, Jega, Emmanuel, and then further to the east, Debre Ilyas, where hundreds of Fano fighters were allegedly killed in an operation by security forces. So, all this zone is very destabilized, West Gojam and parts of East Gojam. Strategic in terms of its connection with Valaga, with Ago Avi zone. Reportedly, Fano fighters are in control of Bore town. Most sources say that that the local government officials have fled. ENDF tried to control the situation, it could not. Most sources say ENDF has withdrawn from Bore. We're trying to confirm. But Fano's presence clashes in Bore for the last 12 hours being confirmed by several sources. If Fano fighters manage to take control of Bore, obviously it means that they can reach Valaga. From Bore, they can move towards Valaga and they can move towards Ago Avi zone. Though it's difficult for them to remain in control of town cities because they enter town cities, then reinforcements of Ethiopian army come and Fano fighters retreat. But in all these towns, near these towns too, near Fanote Salam, a truck of ENDF was ambushed yesterday, in which some ENDF soldiers were killed too. So near Fanote Salam, Dambicha, Emmanuel, we have seen massive presence of Fano fighters. And Fano fighters are inside Emmanuel, inside Dambicha, and now inside Bore town. Gujam, entire Gujam being destabilized, and Amhara Popular Front. Which Fano faction operating here? Amhara Popular Front of Skandar Naga. And we know that in this zone, 6 cities, Fanos of 6 cities formed an alliance. 3 days ago, a meeting was held in Digga Dimot, where representatives from Digga Dimot, Dambicha, Machakal, etc., they united and they decided to work in coordination in the fight against Ethiopian National Defense Force. Second update is from Gondar, viewers, where a camp of Ethiopian National Defense Force came under attack by Fano fighters. Fano, as I said almost a week ago, has shifted, it has changed gears from defensive to offensive. Fano was defending itself a few weeks ago, now it is carrying out attacks, assassinations, ambush attacks, and then attacks on ENDF bases, ENDF camps. A camp of Ethiopian National Defense Force came under attack in Gondar. Musebambe is the name of a Kabale, Musebambe. There, last night, Fano fighters surrounded the camp and then fighting went on, exchange of gunfire went on for hours. How many ENDF soldiers were killed, how many Fano fighters were killed, how many ENDF soldiers are missing, it's not clear. Problem is that ENDF is not sharing any details of its losses. It does not mean that Ethiopian army soldiers are not dying, they are dying. If burning vehicles of military are visible, it means that those who were there in the vehicle, they were there too. And Fano fighters are starting to show some POWs too, militia members, police members, Ethiopian National Defense Force members. So ENDF members dying. ENDF is not acknowledging its losses like it did in the 2-year-long war in Tigray. ENDF never acknowledged its losses, but Fano fighters, ENDF members, Amhara special members, they died in large numbers like Tigray fighters in the 2-year-long war. Now here we're saying that Fano fighters, they make their losses public, because by making their human losses public, they get public support, they get public sympathy. That is why they conduct burial ceremonies publicly. Why? Because they want to tell the people that Fano is fighting for the people. That is how they get recruits, they get logistical supplies, they get support from locals. ENDF on the other hand is in a difficult position. Top command of ENDF is owning the operation, but political ownership of the operation on Fano in Amhara is missing. So ENDF soldiers are dying and no one is saying they are dying for the sake of the country. Now, no one is going to accept, there isn't going to be consensus in Ethiopia that people, that ENDF members are sacrificing for the sake of the country. Because people in Amhara say that, groups in Amhara, they say that these ENF soldiers are basically Oromos. So this is Oromo army. An army is not Ethiopian army. So that is why I say ENDF is in a difficult position. Ownership is missing. Its members dying, and it cannot pay tribute to the sacrifices of its people, of its members in this war. So ENDF camp came under attack. How many losses suffered by ENDF, difficult to say, but clashes, exchange of gunfire went on for hours. Thirdly, viewers, a Fano commander spoke yesterday, a video message. By the way, these Fano commanders are accessible to media. Amhara media can contact them, Amhara media can locate them, Amhara media can air their interviews, but ENDF cannot locate these Fano commanders. Isn't it a bit surprising? If Colonel Fantahun Muhabao, if Merewadajo are accessible to media, of course, their location can be traced by Ethiopian National Defence Force too. Why is ENDF failing? These are very important questions. Merewadajo has released several audio messages, and Colonel Fantahun is releasing video messages. He spoke yesterday. He spoke on several points. Most important point, one of the important points is that he mentioned Addis Ababa, 4 kilo, Arat kilo. He said our goal is Addis Ababa. It means Fano fighter, does it mean that Fano fighters want to reach Addis Ababa? They want to capture Addis Ababa, they want to remove PM Abiy? Well, when I talked to a few people close to Fano a few weeks ago, they said that when Fano says its goal is Addis Ababa, it does not mean that Fano fighters want to storm Addis Ababa. Their meaning is that they want to have a government in Addis Ababa on federal level which is representative, which will protect the interests of Amhara people and other peoples too. So it's not that Fano wants to launch, it wants to march towards Addis Ababa. Though at some later stage, if Fano became stronger, it could consider capturing of the capital. So far their strategy is that they want to remove the government. They want to, their main target is the Prime Minister. Fano fighters want to remove Ethiopian PM Abiy. They see this government as representative of Oromos. They want a more representative government, though Amhara leaders are there. Damake Mekonnen, Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, who is he? Who is Speaker of House of Federation? Who is General Baba Tadesse? And several other names too. So, Amhara elite is part of the government too, Oromos too. But these hardliners say that the government is being led by Oromo generals, Oromo politicians, Oromo bureaucrats. I think that when Fano says that, and this is not the first time that Fano has said that its goal is Addis Ababa. What did David Georges say in the US when he was raising funds for Amhara Popular Front? APF said, he said that this fundraising would definitely help APF reach Addis Ababa. APF is led by Skandar Naga, and yesterday's talk was by Colonel Fantahun. Both are different factions. So it means all the factions, they have this consensus that they want to reach Addis Ababa. It means they want to remove Ethiopian PM Abiy. They want a new Prime Minister. They want a new government. Let's see how Fano fighters achieve this objective, but Colonel made it clear that Addis Ababa is Fano's goal.
እያደረግን ያለነው በጫካ ያለነው በማገራችን በጫካ ነው። እስካሁን ባደረግነው እኛ ውጤታማ ነን። በተለይ ህዝቡ በደረስንበት ቦታ ሁሉ በገጠርም በከተማም ህዝቡ ከኛ ጋር ነው። ሁሉም ነገር በማቅረብ ምንም ችግር የለም። ህዝቡ ለመታገል ከፍተኛ